Hello YouTube, this is Red Ryan Socks, and I got the audio and video to sync up, so looks like you guys are going to be getting an 8-4 draft right now. I'm hoping to do a lot of these draft walkthroughs. We'll see, how many I can churn out. But I've been playing a lot of this M15 limited format, and I'm pretty comfortable with it, so let's go. We've got a pretty good first pick. Spectra Ward is kind of a bomb. We're passing a Nightfire Giant, a Carrion Crow, Netcaster Spider. I'm not super comfortable with Nightfire as a first pick just because it commits you kind of to two colors, or it at least commits you to trying to splash and picking up an Evolving Wild and stuff. I mean, Spectra Ward is obviously the best card in this pack, so we're just going to take that. But looking at what we're passing, it looks like we might want to try to avoid being in black. Although really, it's not too much of a concern. The deck I really like in white in this format is basically the Triplicate Spirits plus Sanctified Charge deck. So we're going to be looking for both of those cards, along with, cheap aggressive white creatures. Sanctified Charge is very powerful. So this isn't my favorite deck to be in the format, but when you have a Spectra Ward, it is really strong. And, I don't hate to be in this deck. I've been in it, a lot of times. And we get past another bomb. We'll probably just go with it. Juggernaut is very, very good, and I'm considering it definitely. Obnixilis, though, has been very good for me. One thing to note is that when we have a Spectra Ward, picking up Heliod's Pilgrims is going to be very good, so we should look out for those. The double Curd Chieftain I just feel like staying away from, especially because we already have a white card. I think I'm just going to go with the straight power and take Obnixilis. We could abandon either of these two first picks and just go into one or the other color. The other option would be taking the Juggernaut and then sticking to a white-based deck, but I think Obnixilis is powerful enough that he warrants taking here. So let's take him and see where this goes. Okay, we've got another rare, not a great one actually. I like the Heliod's Pilgrim just because we have the Spectra Ward. Otherwise, I would probably take a Rescue Swiftclaw. I feel like it's slightly better. It does have one toughness, though, which is kind of a liability in this format. Although, I would probably run it in any white deck. But the Pilgrim is just going to be really good with the Spectra Ward, and if we're in black-white, which it looks like we probably will be, we can pick up a Stab Wound or something like that, or Crippling Blight. There's also, definitely good targets in white, like Oppressive Rays and Marked by Honor, stuff like that. I wouldn't play Marked by Honor if I didn't have a Pilgrim, but because white decks usually have Pilgrims in them, I'm usually running a Marked by Honor. I do tend to stay away from green pretty hard in this format. I've just found that the green decks are very slow and really can't develop their board fast enough to keep up with the other decks in the format. So let's see where this is going. Ooh, we have a Lightning Strike, and that's a pretty strong red signal. There's a rare missing from this pack, a rare, an uncommon, and a common. I'm probably going to take this Lightning Strike as a very strong red signal, potentially abandoning this Obnixilis. Heliod's Pilgrims in red-white can tutor up Inferno Fist, I believe that's what it's called, and that's pretty powerful. Alternatively, we could take either the Crippling Blight, the Rescue Swiftclaw, or the Sungrace Pegasus and try to stick to black-white, but I think this Lightning Strike is a strong enough signal that it's worth taking here and potentially going into red. I really like being in red in this format, and if it's open like this, I really want to take advantage of that. So we might be abandoning the Obnixilis, or we might, splash the Lightning Strike if it turns out that red isn't as open as we thought. We'll see how this goes. So yeah, overall, I really like being in red in this format. Most of my decks have a lot of Krenko's Enforcers and Inferno Fists. Even the commons in red can really outpace some of the rares, because you're being so aggressive. Okay, let's see. Probably picking up an Evolving Wilds here. If we have a Lightning Strike, we're probably going to want to splash it. The other option, the other good cards in this pack are like Runeclaw Bear, but I tend to stay away from green. Frostlinks and Void Snare are also both pretty solid. Frostlinks is probably better, but I think we're in so many colors, now, and although blue could be kind of open, I think it's really worth staying away from that and just focusing on which. So I'm going to take the Evolving Wilds. It could help us splash the Lightning Strike later. Seems like a very solid pickup for the beginning. if we also, pick up, say, a Nightfire Giant or something like that, we can be splashing red for that too. Or Dauntless River Marshal, possibly even have one island, something like that. So yeah, let's see what we have. Shadowcloak Vampire is a good black card. Goblin Rough Rider is a good red card. I think we're probably going to want to go with the Rough Rider just because I really do like being in red. And actually, this is kind of tough because the Vampire does make it seem like black's open. I don't particularly like the Vampire all that much, but we do have kind of a bomb in black, and it looks to be decently open, especially because I think other people value the Shadowcloak higher than I do. And the Lightning Strike is very splashable, so I think we can take this Shadowcloak now, and if we really see some more strong red signals, we can then move in. The Rough Rider would be, a fine pick there, I think. I think it's pretty close, but I am pretty comfortable with black-white too, so I think that should be okay, especially because we just have two such powerful cards in the Ward and the Ob Nixilis. There's a pretty high incentive to sticking to black-white. I haven't liked the Shadowcloak as much just because I've found myself in races a lot of the times, and, his ability really doesn't mean he has flying, I've found. Just taking the Oppressive Race here, it's good to search up with Heliod's Pilgrim. And, cards you'd think he'd be good against, like a Triplicate Spirits or something like that, he really isn't because he just loses the race too quickly. You're taking 4 the first turn, and if they have, a Sanctified Charge, which they usually do, it's just very hard to really get ahead, even if you have a quote-unquote flyer. So yeah, black-white in this format I found most successful when you're base white, which it looks like we are using the Triplicate Spirits and Sanctified Charge plan, because you have some evasive creatures that can, supplement evasive creatures in black that can supplement your aggressive white creatures like Accursed Spirit and Carrion Crow. Those are both very solid. Black is very deep in this format. It doesn't have a lot of bombs, even though we do have one of them. But it does have a lot of powerful commons like the Accursed Spirit and the Carrion Crow, which tend to go around pretty late because nobody is put into black very early. Here I think we probably take a Child of Night. Even the Marked by Honor, I feel like we can basically get one whenever we want, and good 2-drops are pretty valuable in this format, even though the Child of Night has 1 toughness. If you have some removal to back it up or something like that, it's, fine, and it's always solid. And I think we can pick up a Marked by Honor later if we need to. Really, I don't prioritize getting the targets for Heliod's Pilgrim. I find that you get enough already, and plus in this deck we're just going to be wanting to tutor up Spectra Ward basically, 95% of the time, something like that. If we draw it, we can only search up Oppressive Rays, so it's not really a big priority to be taking those Marked by Honors. Okay, what do we have here? I haven't been a big fan of Ephemeral Shields, and Witch's Familiar is just a solid 3-drop, so I think we're going to take that here. Definitely not impressive, but, you can always have the vanilla creatures. They're, this one is solid. It fills your curve. I sometimes cut it if, my deck is very good, but it's great to have one at least. I'm going to take the Kinsbale Skirmisher here. There is an argument for taking the Bronze Sable just because it can block Intimidate creatures, and having artifacts can be important in this format, but not necessarily in black-white are artifacts the most important. That's usually in blue or red. Blue-red. And having white creatures is important in case we pick up some Sanctified Charges later. So we're going to take him. We aren't really on the Triplicate Spirits and Sanctified Charge plan yet, but those are the cards that I look to be taking in the beginning of the pack when I'm in a white deck. So I am planning ahead on getting some of those later. Either the Triplicate or the Sanctified. Here, we'll just take his Offshade. I really don't care if people have Invasive Species, even though it's a solid green card. I've really just found that the green decks in this format are very lacking. Maybe that's just from a lack of experience, but I tried a couple drafts. My first few drafts on Magic Online were green decks, and they felt okay, but they were always slightly behind, and they always just fell behind early in the game and couldn't really catch up with the powerful spells late because they just had vanilla creatures. So Crippling Blight was a good pickup there with the Heliod's Pilgrim. It's also, just a solid card overall. It does a really good pacifism impression more often than you'd think. So I'm happy to get that there. It also means black is probably pretty open. So I think we've settled into some pretty good colors here. White might not be as open as we thought, but I think it's definitely worth being in with the Spectra Ward. It's just such a powerful card. And, we still got like a late Kinspell Skirmisher, so, there's room to be in white, it feels like. Even if we might not necessarily be, one of the only 1 or 2 drafters. There probably are like 3 drafters who are kind of side white, which leaves us room to pick up some solid cards. Not necessarily to have our white, be spectacular, but to have it definitely round out the deck, plus we have a bomb and a way to tutor up, so that should be a pretty powerful combination. So, ending pack 1, I like where this deck is going. We might not splash the Lightning Strike if we don't get like another Evolving Wilds or something like that. It might just not be worth it on the mana, but we'll see. I'm pretty set in my ways for black-white at this point. Looks like we've opened a Triplicate Spirit, so I'm probably going to take that. I am, in these videos, I am going to money draft if I can. I'm not going to, shortcut that. So, I might consider taking the Sliver Hive Lord here. It's like a ticket and a half or something. I looked it up earlier. But I do think the Triplicate is enough better that it'll help our chances in this draft, and I think it's worth taking. Let's see what we have. Another Triplicate. That's probably the card we're going to take. Cruel Sadist. I haven't actually experienced in this format. It seems kind of slow, but I have seen it pretty high on some pick orders. I saw, I think Andrea Mangucci had a walkthrough for the green-black archetype, and he had it pretty high on his pick order, so it's probably a powerful card, but Triplicate Spirits is just very good, especially if we can pick up, now that we have 2 of them, if we can pick up a Sanctified Charge, that's going to be very powerful. So I guess I'll try the Cruel Sadist later. Constricting Sliver is very powerful, but we do already have 3 semi-6 drops. And picking up the second Evolving Wilds means that we'll be able to play the Lightning Strike pretty easily, as well as, supplementing our mana pretty well. This is a pick I'm not that sure about. I haven't played with Constricting Sliver very much in white decks in this format. It's been pretty good against me, but it hasn't been spectacular. And I'm going to go with my gut and just go with the consistency of Evolving Wilds here. Razorfoot Griffin would be a nice pickup if there weren't these 2 other cards in the pack. But I tend to like my Evolving Wilds, so I'm going to take that. Let's see what we've got here. We've got a Child of Night, probably what we're going to take. Wall of Essence is okay, but it really is kind of limited in that it can't attack, and they can just, bash you in the air with flyers while it's just sitting there kind of holding off maybe a 2/2 or something, and I'd rather have Child of Night in general in this format, so I'm going to take that. The other cards in the pack were just of less power level than those 2. Child of Night is pretty good in a deck with a lot of removal, because you can get stuff out of the way, with Crippling Blight or something. Crippling Blight plus Child of Night is a pretty good combo in the early game. So that's solid. I've had better Child of Night decks, but this one is not too shabby either. It would be better if it was a white creature just because of our Triplicate Spirits and potential Sanctified Charges, but it's a totally serviceable 2-drop. So right now, because we have such balmy cards like the double Triplicate and the Spectra Ward and the Obnixilis, I feel like we want to just kind of supplement our mana curve and make sure that our deck is solid overall. Here, I'm not sure between Geist of the Moors and Accursed Spirit. I feel like I want Geist of the Moors. It just seems like a slightly more powerful card. 1 less mana is very important. It's a white creature too, which is slightly better in our deck. And yeah, I feel like we're going to be white enough that we can hit that mana most of the time. So I'm going to go with my gut here and take the Geist. It definitely could be the Accursed Spirit. It just feels more consistent. But because we have 2 Evolving Wilds, I think we should be able to. So I'm going to take the Geist. Let's see what we have here. Typhoid Rats, very solid. It looks like blue is pretty open with the Wall of Frost and the Aeronaut Tinkerer. I'm not going to take Zoff Shade or Marked by Honor, and Adverse Amulet is just too inconsistent. Foundry Street Denizen is a deck in this format if you just get a bunch of those and like the red Paragon, but you know, it's much too late for that. I'm just noting it because it's a possibility that we'll play against that. I definitely have lost to the deck multiple times, especially one time stands out where I was in the finals and I lost to it. Yeah. So I'll take Covenant of Blood here. Zathrod's Skyblade, I haven't actually tried yet, but it just seems like 2 mana intensive. A 2-1 Hexproof isn't very good, and you need to really commit yourself to it, and if they have removal, it's bad if you try to do the first strike and Death Touch. And Covenant of Blood is just very good, especially in, you know, a deck like ours, which is trying to convoke stuff out. And they'll have a lot of early creatures, and it's a very solid removal spell. Haven't tried Warden of the Beyond either, but I think Crippling Blight is better here, even though we already have one. It goes good with Child of Night, as I've talked about earlier, and we don't really have anything to exile, I don't think. So I'm going to go with the Crippling Blight. I've heard that Warden of the Beyond is surprisingly powerful, but really the 3-mana 2/2 version does not appeal to me at all. And so I'm going to go with the consistency of the Crippling Blight. I think it's a overall very solid card. If we could find another Heliod's Pilgrim, that would be very good. Let's see what the end of the pack gives us. I'm just going to take a Solemn Offering for the sideboard, I think. Black Cat is also a consideration against like the Foundry Street Denizen deck. This is why it's good to be aware that a deck like that can exists in the format. But the Solemn Offering is just kind of a more universal sideboard card, so we're going to go with that. Oh wow, Carrion Crow and Typhoid Rats. I think the Crow is slightly better. It's been pretty impressive for me. Flying over. I've definitely had games on both sides where a Carrion Crow is just attacking in the air, usually against like a green deck or something, and it's just really hard to stop. So I'm going to take that. We already have a Typhoid Rats, and we already have a bunch of early D with the Crippling Blights, the Oppressive Rays, and the Typhoid Rats. And the Childs of Night too are good at racing and holding off some early aggression with the 2 life can be more important than you'd think. So yeah, I think overall this is a pretty exciting deck. I'm really happy with it so far. Let's see. Yeah, just take some on-color cards in case we want to bring them out of the board. I can't really see us doing that, but let me just say that Radiant Fountain is, unless you're in a monocolor deck, just not worth running in this format. It's good to take it so that you can bring it in out of the sideboard against the more aggressive decks if you really need to, because it doesn't hurt you that much. But in general, it's just not worth the 2 life for a colorless land. I think people really overrate, or I guess not really overrate, but I guess people overestimate how consistent their mana will be. So, yeah. Okay, so for this pick, it's either Raise the Alarm or Carrion Crow. Sign in Blood is fine, but it's kind of tough on the mana. And like I've said before, I really like Carrion Crow in this format, so I think I'm going to take that. Triplicate Spirits and Raise the Alarm go well together, but we don't actually have a Sanctified Shard yet, so the Raise the Alarm is only significantly better in terms of convoking out the spirits and not in terms of the token strategy aspect. So I'm just going to take the Crow. I think we're kind of more of a good stuff deck than really a synergy deck with the Sanctified Charge, even though that's what I usually do with white in this format. So yeah, we'll be like curving out with, you know, Child of Night into Carrion Crow into then like Crippling Blight, kill your guy, and then next turn convoke out Triplicate, something like that. That's generally how our deck will probably go, just looking at our doubles. I think that's a pretty solid way to win. Of course, you know, we also have Obnixilis and Spectral Ward, which are just pretty insane, so that's very good too. Let's see what we have here. Child of Night, Shadowcloak Vampire, Oresco Swiftclaw, and Midnight Guard. We're looking for more 2-drops here, I think. We have, you know, enough 3s, as you can see. Child of Night or Oresco Swiftclaw, I think, are the 2 cards that we should be considering. This one's tough. Swiftclaw is a white creature, but that doesn't matter as much. It is a 3/1 instead of a 2/1, but in some cases, Child of Night is like a 4/1. So I think I'm going to take the Child here. The Swiftclaw just hasn't been that impressive for me. It usually trades with something, and if you trade with something and gain life, it's better. The Swiftclaw generally doesn't trade with stuff that has 3 toughness, so the 3/1 versus the 2/1 I don't think is as important as it can be in some formats. So we're going to take the Child of Night. What do we have here? Basically just a Typhoid Rats. Not super exciting. We're not really getting that much out of this pack, although we did have a lot of power from the first 2 packs, so I'm not that concerned. Selfless Cathara might be a consideration. It's good with Triplicate Spirits, but I think Typhoid Rats is just overall a much better card, so we're going to take that. Let's see. We've got to Raise the Alarm. Probably going to take that. It's a 2-drop. It's good with our Convoke stuff. Not much else. Portland Marauder's good, but we're not in red. Let's just take the Raise the Alarm. Okay, we have a Kinsbell Skirmisher, another good white 2-drop, probably going to take that. Another Evolving Wilds, but when you have 3, it starts to get, very taxing on your mana, and you want to, be on curve. I really don't want to draw 2 Evolving Wilds in a game, for example, so I'm going to stick with the Kinsbell Skirmisher. Shadowcloak Vampire is also a consideration here, but in general, I just like cheap cards in Limited. I find that, if you can play all your spells, you really have an advantage, so I'm going to take the Skirmisher. Our deck can definitely play the aggressive game. We have a lot of 2-drops, which a lot of my decks tend to be able to do. Take another Skirmisher here. We can really load up on these 2-drops. Vestergloom, it has been very good for me, but mostly against the Triplicate Spirits deck. For obvious reasons. We could take it, just as a hate card, but I really think that you shouldn't hate cards unless there's no other card that you would run in your main deck, or even really, and so we're not going to take that. We're just going to take the solid card for our deck. Here we could play the Necromancer's Assistant, except we really already have enough playable, so I'm going to take a sideboard card. It's between Divine Favor and Mind Rot. Divine Favor is good against aggressive decks. Mind Rot's good against kind of slow, grindy decks. And I think we're very well set up against aggressive decks right now, so I'm going to take the Mind Rot for the sideboard. We've got an Accursed Spirit. That's a very nice pickup. It's actually our first 4-drop, which is kind of weird. Also, Willforged Golem, that's pretty nice. We're going to have to make some cuts here. I think the Witch's Familiar can go. Our deck is very powerful. Oh, wow. Midnight Guard, Oresco Swiftclaw, or Shadowcloak Vampire. Those are all very good. In general, when I have a very powerful deck, I want to lean towards the cheap cards, so I'm probably going to take one of these. We do have a lot of 2-drops, and Midnight Guard is pretty powerful with Convoke because it can untap. I think we're going to take the Midnight Guard here. I kind of just took it because we didn't have much time left. That's a very interesting pick. I could definitely see it going either way. We're just going to take this for our sideboard. We're pretty well set up against the aggressive decks. I didn't feel the need to hate either of those 2 aggressive red cards. So yeah, we're going to have to make some cuts here. Willforged Golem is actually pretty powerful in our deck too. I'm honestly not sure what we want to cut. Helioid's Pilgrim staying because of the Spectral Ward. You might want to cut like a Crippling Blight and a Typhoid Rat, something like that. Or make the Graves good against grindy decks. But overall, we have a lot of playables, and I think our deck's very solid. We might just want to cut the Lightning Strike. Our deck is powerful enough as is. We don't really need the Splash. It just makes our mana more inconsistent, even though we do have 2 Evolving Wilds. I think I'm probably going to cut that, just because we have such a powerful deck, and I really want to go for the consistency side of the spectrum here more than the power side, because we already have the power. We don't need to stretch ourselves too much for it. So I'm going to cut, I think, 1 Evolving Wilds, and go probably 8/8 on the mana. So let's see. We have 26 minus 1, 25 cards here, so we need to cut 2 cards. I think 17 lands is good for this deck. We have a lot of cheap cards, so we need to cut 2 cards. I think we can probably cut the Oppressive Rays, actually. It's a impressive card in this format. I don't think it's bad by any means, but it's just not amazing, and our deck is very strong, so I think we can afford to cut that. Couple considerations for cuts. Midnight Guard, consideration, Raise the Alarm. I think we actually want to cut Raise the Alarm here, even though we have the Triplicate Spirits and it's good with Convoke. We only really have a couple Convoke spells, and we have a lot of other 2-drops already. 2-drops that are stronger on their own in a vacuum. So I think we're going to cut that. This leaves us with 23 cards. I'm pretty sure they're going to suggest 8 and 8, but if they don't, we will put 8 and 8, and yeah, they did. So let's do that. Willforged Golem is good because we have a lot of cheap creatures to convoke him out. I like the Typhoid Rats because they're creatures we can play on turn 1 to help get our convoke going really quickly, and they're also very relevant in the late game, even as a late draw. So yeah, I think this deck is what we're gonna where we're gonna go, and I'm excited for the rounds. I think this is probably gonna take us pretty far. So let's see. So my screen capture software doesn't go well with pausing, so I'm just going to have the video be very long, at least for now. Maybe I'll figure out later, a quick and easy way to kind of cut off the video and have multiple videos. Maybe I'll make a playlist or something, but for now this is just going to be one long video. So if you look in the description, I'm probably going to link where round 1 starts, so you should just click ahead right now. I'm not going to be providing commentary anymore. So yeah, click ahead to where round 1 begins, and I'll see you then. Alright, hello everybody and welcome to round 1. We lost the die roll, so that's not good, but it seems like our deck is strong enough to take it down. Yeah, so this looks like a pretty good hand. We get to slam Spectre Ward on turn 5. Seems pretty good. We'll keep. And yeah, like I mentioned in my previous video, I'm running this on a Mac, so I don't actually have an F6 button, so you'll see me yield until end of turn a lot. That's basically my method of doing this. Okay, so our opponent leads on an Ornithopter. That's kind of interesting. I'm just going to crack this now just to save time. He could be the blue-red artifact deck. He also could be bad. We'll see. If he goes in Soul Artifact on turn 2, I'm very scared. If he doesn't, I am very not scared. So let's see what he does. Interesting to note that that Ornithopter can actually block our Spectre Ward creature, which is pretty important. Oh, I see. He's aggressive red with an O2. That seems unimpressive. And like I said earlier, Child of Night is pretty good against aggressive decks. We're looking to block this Borderland Marauder here. If he has a Forged Devil, that's fine. We'll still be able to block it next turn. So I'm not really too concerned. Once we slam this Spectre Ward, the game should swing heavily in our favor. Yep, you can attack and everything. I'm just going to yield here. I'm definitely taking this trade. Be foolish not to. This guy is pretty slow, which makes me think that he's probably not a super experienced player. So we'll see. He could be running. He's probably running like Scrapyard Mongrel or something. That's why that would explain the Ornithopter, at least in terms of his thought process. Right here, we're not under much pressure, so we're just gonna slam the Carrion Crow. I might be worried about hasty creatures or something. On 5, there's Thundering Giant in red, but right now he's only gonna untap and play a 4-drop, so I'm not too concerned. Yeah, blue as I expected. He's probably the artifact deck. He might have Insoul here, although it looks like he doesn't. Oh, Jalira. So that would explain the Ornithopter a little bit, I guess, but it's still, not the best. So he could be going a Wombo combo on us, but I doubt it. It's probably just a, value Jalira. Which is not super impressive, but he does get to kind of go off with his creatures and basically make better and better creatures until he wants to stop. That Ornithopter is probably going to turn into something relevant soon. We're just going to play Child of Night. Nothing really good to Crippling Blight here, and then we'll just pass. Hopefully next turn we can just slam Spectre Ward, go to town. If he has untapped, then about doing that, but I think he's probably going to try to tap out here, maybe using Jalira, something like that. Here's the Insoul Artifact. Okay. So, important to note that our guy is actually not going to have protection from that Ornithopter. Kind of an awkward position. We might be able to Crippling Blight it, something like that, or we could just suit up our Child of Night and then Crippling Blight. Yeah, I think that's our play. So we're gonna, yeah, no blockers. So our play here is suit up Child of Night with Spectre Ward. If he has Lightning Strike, we're just dead, but we can't really play around everything. So suit up our Child of Night, and then he's going to want to block with Ornithopter, so we might leave it back because we're lifelinking, so he can't really win a race. But then we're going to Crippling Blight, and hopefully then he won't be able to block, and we'll be able to tempo him out there. Okay, didn't have Lightning Strike. Step 1 of the plan is a go. Let's attack with both. Our Child of Night is nigh indestructible now. And we're probably going to win a race. That Insoul Artifact is very scary, but I think we're in a good position to beat it here. We'll see. We might just get, comboed out next game, and in game 3. I hope he doesn't, get that nut draw 2 games in a row. Okay, so he's encrusting our 2-2, that's fine. We're still going to win a race with Child of Night. Apologies if I'm a little slow playing or talking on the video. So yeah, we're gonna Crippling Blight here. That kind of messes with his plans. because now all he can do is attack us for 4, when he wanted to be blocking that and trading with it. He might go another Insult Artifact. Oh, I can't target my guy, right? I guess I'll just target this, doesn't really matter. And let's yield and attack. So yeah, his one colorless creature can't block. Hopefully he doesn't have another one, and we can just bash for 4 for 2 turns in a row and kill him. That's the plan, and we're just going to execute on it. There we go. You couldn't beat it. So let's see if we have any sideboard cards for this. That Solemn Offering is going to be useful. Not sure what we're going to cut, but we'll see. So yeah, definitely putting in that Solemn Offering. Probably Oppressive Raise, just to slow him down if he has the Nut Draw. There's not much else. Let's see what we want to cut. Probably a Willforged Golem, just not super impressive. And I guess let's cut a Shadowcloak Vampire, just because it's expensive and not super powerful. Yeah, that seems fine. Just going off my gut here. There aren't really any specific cards that are, screaming cut me, so we'll just see. This looks like a solid draw. If we can draw some lands, it should be fine. If we can't draw lands, whatever, but we're on the draw, so I think we're going to keep this. We have an Oppressive Raise in case he has the Nut Draw. Ornithopter? Ornithopter. Sure. Don't want to Oppressive Raise it yet. I'm going to wait until he plays the Insole, if he has it. It would kind of suck if he did, because he would just be paying mana all the time, but... So yeah, I mean, it is a consideration to Oppressive Raise here, just because we do have a plan of curving out with 2s, and I don't think there's much he can do that beats us except racing us with that Insole Artifact. So if that Insole Artifact plan of his doesn't work, I think our hand has pretty much any, or at least most hands beat. So I think it's actually correct to Oppressive Raise here, to just play around the worst case scenario. If he doesn't have the Insole, I think we're winning anyway, is basically what I'm trying to say. So this may look like a very odd play, but I really do want to curve out in the next couple turns, and we're not guaranteed to draw planes to be able to Oppressive Raise that. So yeah, if he skips playing the Insole, then that's good for us. So yeah, we're not drawing lands yet, but hopefully we will soon. We can just play out our guys and Triplicate Spirits if we just draw like one more land, but we'll see. I'm wondering if he had the Insole and didn't play it, or if he just doesn't have it. I mean, if he doesn't have it, obviously our play is objectively worse, but I think it's correct to play around it, especially because, if his deck doesn't have that Nut Draw, it's just very weak. So yeah, we drew planes here, that's very good. We're going to buff up our Child of Night and attack. Everything seems to be going pretty well. He might have a combat trick or something, but I think we're fine with him using this. Because he played out 2 Ornithopters, he only has 4 cards in hand, which is pretty good. I think he would have Insoled if he had it, so I'm pretty sure he doesn't have Insole. And in that case, his hand's probably very weak. Let's see what he's doing here. I'm not sure what this could be. 3 mana, blue and red. I'm kind of stumped. If it was 2 mana, it would probably be a Lightning Strike, but it doesn't look to be. If we draw a land next turn and he doesn't kill our guy, we can just triplicate, and I think getting the first triplicate down is very important, because then we can just get the second and start beating him in the air for 6. So he just floated mana and didn't do anything with it. Okay. Fine by me, I guess. I'm not really sure what to make of that, but I'm just going to let him play out his stuff. Encrust. Not a big deal. Just our lifelinker. His Encrusts don't really have good targets against us, I guess, which is, not too bad. Yeah, I'm just gonna... I guess I should have bluffed Ulcerate last turn instead of leaving up a white. I don't think there's much stuff a white can do. Although a white could have bluffed Ephemeral Shields there, which actually might have... He might have been trying to kill our guy and played around Ephemeral Shields, so maybe it was correct to leave up the white. Too bad we didn't draw land, but yeah, doesn't really matter that much. We still have a very solid plan. And he's not really doing anything right now, which is fine by us. He might kind of have a bomb rare. That might be why he kept the hand, just because the hand doesn't really do anything otherwise. I'm kind of on the just see what he plays and react to that at this point. The Scrapyard Mongrel? Jace, yeah, see, that's why he kept the hand. So hopefully we can get Triplicate Spirits down next turn if we draw land, and then just get pressure on Jace, because Jace can tick up very fast and go ultimate, and that's not good, especially if if we can't play out the cards in our hand very quickly in order to avoid giving him card advantage off of that. Jace's ultimate is surprisingly hard to come back from. Them drawing 7 cards is just really tough. I had Jace in a draft earlier today actually, and he's surprisingly powerful. Even though his +1 basically does nothing, it doesn't get you card advantage or anything. It just kind of manipulates the top of your deck a little bit. He's still a very powerful card. So yeah, we can put pressure on Jace here too. We can actually hit him for 2. So I'm not super scared, but I really do hope we get to cast Triplicate. Yeah, it doesn't look like we'll be able to, but let's just attack first. Hit Jace down a little bit and then play our child. Next turn then we'll be able to play Triplicate, so that's good. Attack Jace with both. Jace should be taking at least 2 this turn. Yep, looks to be the case. It's just very important to get Jace low on loyalty, because otherwise, the ultimate is very scary. That's basically his role, is to have a lot of loyalty and then ultimate. He comes down with 5 or 6 actually, so looks like he's just passing here, which would be swell, super swell. Question of whether we want to attack Jace or play Triplicate. I think we want to play Triplicate just to get cards out of our hand, and the next Triplicate is better. It is less good because we're not attacking Jace this turn, but really there's nothing to be scared of until he hits 8. So I think we just want to play out the Triplicate. What is he playing here? Glacial Crasher. That's a big 5/5. Not too scared of that. He can block our guys, but really, it's us attacking him here. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna Convoke out this Triplicate. If he attacks us, we can attack him back for a lot. So I'm not really worried. We're at 23, he's at 14. Even on 3 lands, we've kind of had a pretty good draw this game. I kept the hand because, if we weren't drawing lands, our deck is full of cheap creatures that can convoke out these Triplicate Spirits. And if we are drawing lands, then we're fine. So yeah. Mainly our goal is to keep Jace under control and race Glacial Crasher this game. He's getting some virtual card advantage off of Jace, but really, our spells in our hand are so powerful that there's not much he can be doing that's as powerful as they are. We'll see what this is. He's got 4 mana. He's used one of them, it looks like. Generator Servant, okay. Very impressive. Another one, sure. So yeah, if he attacks with Crasher, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I felt like he was going to, even though it doesn't seem like the right move for him. I think really we just want to be attacking Jace for maybe 1 or 2 every turn, and then attacking him with the rest. He's at 14, and we really want to pressure his life total. So yeah, let's see. We're just convoking out another Triplicate this turn and attacking with what we can, which looks to be... We'll probably just attack with 3 Spirits. I think we should just send them all at Jace, actually. Even though I was talking about his life total. So let's convoke this out first, in case he does anything mid-combat. We just want to do this while we have priority. Get some more 1/1s. Yield, and attack Jace with, I think, all of these. We could be wanting to pressure his life total, but I think it's important to get Jace down low enough that we're not scared of it for a long time, and then we can start attacking him. We're not under a huge amount of pressure from the Glacial Crasher. Yep, he's going to use Jace. We should just yield here. I really do want to win this game because Jace can be a very scary card that can just kind of steal games, and so I don't want to put myself in the position where my opponent can just steal a game. His deck seems like one that can very easily kind of just take a game out of nowhere with the Insole Artifact and the Jace. So I really do, I want to put a lot of pressure on myself to win this game right now. So, let's see. He can block with the Ornithopter, which is important to note. I think what we want to do here is kill Jace by attacking him with 5 spirits and attack Naya humans with the rest of our stuff. We are at 13, but we can play a Midnight Guard after combat if it looks like we're going to be attacked back for a lot. So let's attack Jace with 5 spirits. This is kind of a complicated attack step. You know, if Jace goes to 1, it's not a huge concern, you know, if our opponent has a trick or something. So let's see, 5 of these, because, you know, a Jace at 1 is very unthreatening, and you can just kill it with a spirit next turn. And then we're going to attack him with the rest of the stuff. This Child of Night lifelink is pretty important. And then post-combat we'll see what's most appropriate to play, if we want to be aggressive or if we want to be defensive with either the Carrion Crow or the Midnight Guard. So yeah, those are our attackers. Let's see how he handles them. What I would probably do if I was him would be block with Foundry Street on, Child of Night, yeah, that's what he's doing, and 1 Generator Servant. Because then he can attack back for 7, theoretically, but yeah, I think this is also, you know, a line that was possible. So yeah, now Jace is dying. He's taking nothing. We're gaining 2. All these guys are trading. He's got 0 cards in hand, which I probably should have noticed earlier. So now do we want to take an aggressive or defensive line? He's just attacking us with the Glacial Crasher, and we're at 15. But it's important to not die to like random stuff. I think we just play the Carrion Crow here. The Midnight Guard is not going to want to block the Glacial Crasher anyway, and the Carrion Crow is more likely to be able to attack through whatever he draws. So yeah, we're just in a race now. He drew a mountain. It's very good. He's going to attack us for 5, leave back the Ornithopter to block. We're winning the race as it sits. We have cards in hand, he doesn't. Looks good, but we could definitely die to some random stuff. So yeah, let's just attack with everything, play an Accursed Spirit, make it as hard as we can for him to survive next turn, because we're not dying, barring some really weird circumstances. Did not block with Ornithopter, okay. Yep, let's play the Spirit. He's at 6. He's dead next turn unless he draws something, I believe. Yeah. Draw something, bro. He probably needs to leave the Glacial Crasher back, even if he does draw something. We're just in a very commanding position. Yep. Looks like we got it. So yeah, listening to what I said earlier, I'm not going to pause the video. I'm just going to have it be a really long video. I'll put a link in the description for when round 2 starts. So yeah, just go click on that, and I will see you guys in round 2. Alright, we're back for round 2, and looks like we won the die roll, so that's good. We'll play first. Our deck can be pretty aggressive, so seems like a good decision. This looks like a keep. It's not great, but if we draw a cheap creature, which we have a lot of, it's pretty good, and if we draw planes, it's pretty good too. So, seems fine. Not great, not optimal, but it's a pretty solid hand if we just draw, one of a couple things. Don't think it matters which land we play turn 1, but just because we have the second swamp, we'll play the first swamp. Gives us the option for double black, even though we don't have Sign in Blood or anything. He's got a Selfless Cathar. He's probably the white Sanctified Charge deck. I'm not sure how we match up against that, but we'll see. Child of Night seems fine. We do really want a plains here. That would really enhance our draw significantly. He's got a Pegasus, sure. Looks like we're just going to trade our Child of Night off with one of these. Although we might not want to, just because we want to try to Convoke out the Willforged Golem and stuff like that. So yeah, I think we're just going to pass here. He didn't want to trade the Selfless Cathar. Yeah, I think we're just going to pass. Maybe deter him from attacking, but most likely we're just keeping our Child of Night around for Convoke stuff. Another reason he might not have attacked last turn is because he didn't want me to take it and then untap and attack into his Sungrace, and he would probably be forced to block there. So he might still want to trade the Cathar for the Child of Night, which would make some good sense to me. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he attacks this turn. We'll see. We have no play, but we don't want to let him know that. So yeah, he's going to give his Pegasus +1/+1. I'm curious as to whether if he attacks with the Cathar or not. I don't think he will, but we'll see. Yeah, that's what I thought. Just what my gut told me. Yep, we have no blocks. Okay, plains? No, not quite. We can't really play anything here, so we're just going to pass again. Really want to leave this Child of Night around just to Convoke out the Willforged Golem. If we drawn a white creature there, with single white in the cost, we could be set up for triplicate spirits and stuff. Our draws have been kind of unfortunate here, but, we can't complain too much. The hand we kept was a little bit sketchy. And, we're not out of it yet, by any means. So yeah, we'll just take here, go down to 15, and hope to untap it and play Willforged. He's got a Griffin, that's fine. Now we draw the plains. We probably just want a triplicate here. We could also do the Willforged, but I think we probably want to put the Spectra Ward on a Spirit and just hold off his attackers. Yeah, that seems like the right play. So yeah, let's just triplicate here. And then hopefully we can set up a pretty good defense. We don't have great blocks here if he uses the Cathar, but we might just be fine trading two of our spirits for the Cathar. We'll probably triple block something, I'm guessing. Probably triple block the Sungrace Pegasus, seems like a good play. Hopefully we can just land the Spectral Ward, and that should hold off his attacks. Gonna yield because we're tapped out. Okay, he only attacks with those, that's good. I think we just want to take it. No need to, throw away some of our guys and do a Selfless Cathar. And we're at 11, which is not a super high life total, but it's fine. And once we slam the Spectra Ward, things should be looking pretty good. It looks like he doesn't have too much other than creatures. Sacred Armory makes things a little bit interesting, but Ob Nixilis also makes things a little bit interesting. I think we want to play him just because if we... He blocks basically just as well as the Spectral Ward. I mean, not into Sacred Armory, I guess. Yeah, let's think about this a little bit more. But when things die, he grows, and that's very, very strong. The first strike on the Razorfoot's going to make something die, so he's going to be 5/5 at least. Our opponent can probably Sacred Armory for 3, so we're probably not going to want to block with Ob Nixilis this turn. But if we don't block with him this turn, he's going to be huge next turn. So I think, plus we'll have like one more creature lying around to put the Spectral Ward on, so I think Ob Nixilis is a good. We could consider attacking with the Child of Night, but I think we're good. I think we'd rather just leave it back on blocks and trade with something and grow Obnixilis. So yeah, we're just taking a very defensive route here, trying to hold off his early aggression. He looks to be a pretty aggressive deck and not have that much late game power, so if we can survive to the late game and play our bombs, we should be good. Just going to yield. We're tapped out. Attacking with the Razorfoot is interesting. I think I'm just going to block with a Spirit, grows Obnixilis, and doesn't let him get in for damage with the Sacred Armory. So let's see what he plays here. Hopefully not too big. Kurd Chieftain, so he's probably splashing green. You know, he could be just playing it as a Hill Giant, but I'm guessing that he would want to splash. So, where to put this Spectra Ward? I think we want to put it on Child of Night, because we have good blocks on the Razorfoot. We have good blocks in the air. So, I think getting a big lifelinker would probably be good. Alternatively, if we just put it on a Spirit, that's pretty powerful too. But I think the lifelink is more important, especially because he just played a Kurd Chieftain, so he has some pretty good attacks on the ground. So I think holding him off on the ground is important. Obnixilis will grow to the point where he won't even be able to attack with the Sacred Armory pretty soon, so I think that's fine. We'll yield until end of turn, but then we're going to click through his turn to bluff Ulcerate. I don't think attacking with the Child of Night is very good there, until we put out some more blockers, and then we can attack with it. Because basically it would just be blocking 4 damage there, and his life total is not very relevant, whereas ours is, so this play saves us the most life. I'm curious as to what he attacks with here. He could just go all out, but I don't think that the math works out for him well there. So I think he's probably just going to attack with a Razorfoot again, and in that case, since he can pump it 3 times, I think we just chump block one more time, and then the Obnixilis will be out of range. Unless he plays a land, of course, in which case, you know, he just has lands, and I think we can beat just lands. We could be setting up for kind of a big attack here with like our Child of Night and our Obnixilis, but I don't think yet is really the time. So okay, so we have 6 mana here. We can play, it looks like we can only play 1 spell, which kind of sucks unless we want to convoke out the Willforged Golem, which I really don't think we do. Our creatures are just too important to keep up. So I think we just want to be mana efficient here and play the Shadowcloak Vampire. And we're probably just going to be chumping with a Spirit for 1 more turn. Or we could block the Razorfoot. He probably won't attack with it. If he attacks with it, then that means he has a trick, which then we might want to play around that by chumping. But we're going to keep up Ulcerate mana here. But I don't think he will attack with it, actually. So yeah, let's yield until we can develop our board out a little bit more before we start attacking with Child of Night. Yeah, I yielded. And then we could attack with Obnixilis, start clocking him, and chump with the Spirit again. But no, I think he's just not going to attack, and we definitely win a long game here. So I don't think that's worth it. So yeah, we're going to click here because we know that he might think that we have Ulcerate. So he's 1 away from being able to attack with the Razorfoot again. It's important. He plays a Bloodseeker, no cards in hand. So that's just another ground guy. And I think next turn's the turn we want to start attacking. I'm not sure with what. He does have a lot of ground creatures is the thing. So yeah, it's kind of tough. If we can play 2 creatures out next turn, that would be very good. We'll see what we draw. He's not going to attack. If he does attack, we just block with the Obnixilis. He has no cards in hand, and his Griffin's just going to die. I don't want him to draw green, so we do want to be as aggressive as we can afford to be here. I'm not giving him time to draw any outs, but I don't think that attacking last turn was correct. And it's going to be close whether or not we can attack this next turn. I'm not sure what he's thinking about. He could be thinking about attacking with everything. I don't think that works out very well for him. We're gaining 4 life, and we're eating like 2 or 3 of his guys. We have another chump blocker if necessary there too. So yeah, I really don't think he can afford to attack with everything. He could, you know, pump. He could sacrifice his Cathar and pump with the Sacred Armory, something that's unblocked for a lot of damage. But I don't think that works out for him. I haven't actually done the math, but that's just what my intuition is telling me. Covenant of Blood, that is very good here. We have 6, 7 mana, so we're going to grow our Obnixilis. What do we want to kill is the question. We could kill the Razorfoot Griffin. He's 1 mana away from being able to attack into Obnixilis, but since we're killing something, he actually isn't. And we're going to be attacking with Obnixilis. I probably want to kill the Chieftain just in case he draws a forest. That seems right. So I think our plan here is Covenant, attack with Obnixilis and Child of Night. We're going to be gaining 8 life, and then we're probably going to be winning the race because of that. We do have 2 blockers back, or 1 blocker back, I should say. The Shadowborn Vampire. But yeah, I think this should put him on a good clock. I'm trying to do the math here. This is a little bit difficult. The math is we can't block his Razorfoot with our Shadow Cloak, but I think we're going to be fine blocking another thing. So let's see. We would be attacking for 11. We might just want to attack with Obnixilis here. Yeah, I think that's right. Just attack with Obnixilis because the Child of Night is just so good on blocks. And he can't, there's no way he can block Obnixilis with enough here, right? He's got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, not quite. So we can attack with Obnixilis safely and leave back the child for blocks, for very secure blocks, I think. So now we're putting him on a clock. He's going to have to come up with something, or just kind of alpha attack out of desperation. The Sacred Armory is kind of annoying this game. It's not a very good card overall, but it's doing a lot of work for him. We'll see how relevant it is. He's going to go to combat. I don't think the math works out for him attacking with everything. So I think I want to pay 2 life and block with the Shadow Cloak here. It kills his Sungrace Pegasus. We're going to go to 13. He needs to pump the Pegasus twice. So then he would be spending 4 mana for that. He's got 5, 8, so he's going to spend another 4. We're going to take 6 overall. So we would go to 9. But we would eat the Sungrace, and our Shadow Cloak would die. But that also pumps our Obnixilis by 2, which is pretty important in the race. So yeah, I think we do want to do this because that makes it makes him dead in 2 turns basically, and yeah, we can just be sitting back with all of our guys while attacking with Obnixilis and kill him in 2 turns. Force him to do something. He's going to spend a lot of mana on Sacred Armory here. He's going to gain some life. So he actually might not be... No, he is dead in 2 turns because then on the last turn we can attack with the Child of Night pretty safely. So everything should work out well, I think. Next turn, if we draw a land, we can cast a Cursed Spirit and Geist of the Moors, which will be both good on defense. Yep, Armory. I think we've done the math pretty well here. I think we should be okay. We go to 9. He goes to 19. We have 2 abilities. Obnixilis grows to 9/9. And his end step. So what do we draw? We draw Plains. So we can play out a Cursed Spirit and Geist of the Moors. Here we're just going to attack with Obnixilis. Leave back our lifelinking super ground blocker. And tell him that he's dead next turn. See if he can answer it. The Cursed Spirit also helps to ensure that he's dead next turn. Looks like we're in a pretty strong position here. I don't think we're going to lose this one. I don't think there's much he could draw that would make us lose. We can always chump in the air. Yeah, he's seen the writing on the wall. Okay, so he's pretty aggressive. I'm not sure what we have for sideboarding. Don't think we want to bring in the Solemn Offering just because it can be dead, even though he did have like one target. What in our deck is bad against aggression? I guess Carrion Crow is not great. We could bring in a Raise the Alarm or an Oppressive Raise. Shadow I don't think against his deck. I think we want an Oppressive Raise just to slow him down. And it's not really worth spending 3 mana later in the game just to get a kind of a crappy creature going. It kind of disrupts his curve a lot. Other than that, Crippling Blight is not great if he doesn't have 1 toughness creatures. I'm trying to remember how many of those we saw. We saw Selfless Cathar, but that can sacrifice. I think we want to cut maybe a Crippling Blight for a Raise the Alarm, which can be a surprise blocker. And maybe a Carrion Crow for a Witch's Familiar. Block his 2/2 as well. Yeah, I don't think we want to race him. I think we want to beat him with our bombs. So let's try this out. We want to kind of control him in the early game and then beat him with our bombs. I'm assuming him, but, you know, him or her. You don't know who you're playing against on Magic Online. He'll probably decide to play first. So we're a little bit constrained in terms of time. We're a little bit behind, I should say. But, you know, that's probably just the effects of me doing the video. Game 1 was pretty complicated and we had to think a little bit. But I don't think it's a big concern. This is an interesting hand. We have a Death Toucher into a 3/1 flyer, but that's really all we have. We're on the draw. If we draw Triplicate Spirits, this hand is pretty good. If we draw either of our bombs, this hand is pretty good. I think I'm going to keep this, although I could definitely see that being wrong. Instinctually, I feel like it's probably a pretty strong hand against him, but we'll see. He's got Cathar, sure. We can like take some damage from that. I don't really want to block it with the rats, but maybe we'll have to. Spell. Hopefully we draw a spell. Another Typhoid Rats. Sure, that's good against his aggression. We'll have to remember to play a Plains next turn so that we can play Geist of the Moors on 3. That's important. Sungrace Pegasus. We might want to block the Cathar here just so, yeah, he doesn't attack. That's what I thought. Play another rat. Probably want to attack first. Yeah, it seems strong. And we'll play rats. We attack first because then he doesn't know we have the second rats, although, you know, he can probably assume it, but still, I don't think he wants to block there, so we're just getting in damage. He's got a Pridemate. That's pretty strong with his Lifelinker in the air. We're probably going to want to shut that down somehow, although we do have rats on the ground, so it's not a huge deal. We can just block it. If we had one rat, I would be more concerned, just because he could, you know, kill it and then attack him with his huge guy. But we're winning the game mostly in the air with this deck, so it shouldn't be a huge worry. We've been drawing a couple lands. This hand hasn't been working out great. We really have no action otherwise now. But if we draw, you know, Triplicate Spirits or one of our bombs, like I said, we should be fine. I don't think I want to attack with Typhoid Rats here, although the damage might be relevant. I'm trying to think. He's on 2 lands. If he has like a Lightning Strike, then we're forced to block with our Geist. Or at least we're strongly encouraged to block with our Geist. I think we can afford to attack here, just because he's on 2 lands, and it's not super relevant that he would want to kill our rats instead of developing his board, since we do have a backup plan of blocking with the Geist. Let's see what he does. Yep, just a Swift Claw. We'll block his Pridemate if he attacks. Forge Devil might be bad here. Does he have it? It looks like he does. We kind of get wrecked by Forge Devil. Hammer Hand. Okay, so our guy can't block. Yeah, we probably just want to use our Geist for blocking anyway. We're not really winning this game by attacking in the air. He's just come out with a very aggressive start. You know, from an aggressive deck, so you know it's not a huge surprise. But so yeah, I think we're gonna plan on blocking with Geist here. Oh, this applies haste. I didn't realize that. Okay, so his Primate's gonna turn into a 4/4. The question is whether we want to block the Pegasus, the Swift Claw, the Pridemate. I think we want to block. This is pretty tough. I think we probably want to block the Pegasus just because we then have two blockers on the ground for the Pridemate and the Swiftclaw. Alternatively, if we block, yeah, no, I think we do want to block the Pegasus. Actually, it turns off his Pridemate from growing past 4/4, and we do have two blockers on the ground. We're taking a pretty big hit here, but after that we should be better set up for blocking. So yeah, we're at 11. We're just gonna, our plan is to just block all day with these Typhoid Rats and hopefully draw some spells. That is not a spell. So yeah, we're just gonna block with Rats. No attacks. Not really much to say. We're just hoping to be able to block. Plays the Bronze Sable, that's fine. Probably won't attack. Yeah. And we drew a triplicate, so that's very good. Let's convoke this out. Still have one Rats up to block. This triplicate is not going to do it on its own, but hopefully it'll go a long way. He's got 3 cards in hand. He's been playing out a lot of his cards, so he doesn't have many in hand, but 3 is still a significant amount. He can definitely do stuff with 3 cards. Sacred Armory, sure. That's not very good against this board. He still only has 3 lands, which is good, because it means that he can't really fully develop out his board while still hitting land drops, with being on only 2 cards. So we can start attacking the air here. I'm going to play a Skirmisher to get in 1 more damage this turn. The question is how many guys we attack with. Our blocks look pretty good. I think we just want to attack with all 3, actually. We can go Skirmisher on Swiftclaw, Rats on Pridemate. Actually, we want to go Rats, and then Skirmisher on Sable, which is fine. So yeah, I think we want to attack with all 3, actually. The extra Spirit on blocks isn't doing a whole lot. And, you know, if he has stuff to mess with our blockers, you know, we're still going to have okay blocks. Because we have 3 favorable blocks for us lined up, he can't do much that really takes away a significant amount of our good blocks. Let's see what he has here. No land still, it looks like. Soulmender is totally fine. It just grows his Pridemate, but, you know, with 2 Rats, we really don't care that much. Soulmender is kind of scary, though, in terms of for games 2 and 3, or for games, yeah, we won game 1, so for game 3, just because it signifies that he can really come out of the gates quickly. We're just going to block here. We're at 11, so we want to protect our life total. It signifies that he can come out of the gates very quickly and be very threatening in a way that we can't really deal with easily. So we might want to board in some removal if we haven't. I think we boarded in Oppressive Raise, but you know, we might want to hedge against that that possibility, just because I think our deck is significantly better than his. That said, even though we have our blocks pretty well set up here, I think I do want to Crippling Blight something. It's probably just the Soulmender, given that he could mess with our Typhoid Rats, and we really do want we want to hedge, you know, just him getting a really big creature is just not a good thing, so we just want to kind of hedge against that. And we're going to attack with all 3 of our spirits again, I believe. So what I'm surprised he hasn't been doing is attacking with Selfless Cathar, and then when we don't block, just double pumping. So I actually think we just want to attack with 2 of our spirits and leave 1 spirit back to block the Selfless Cathar if he attacks with it. Because otherwise he could be hitting us for 2, maybe 3 every turn if he draws a land, and that's not very good since we're at such a low life total. So yeah, let's yield and attack with 2 of our spirits. Looks like he F6'd. We're not going to because we have a card in hand and a lot of mana, even though we know it's a swamp. Let's see if he has another land now. Doesn't look like it. Divine Favor, okay. So that makes that gives him 3 significant threats, which is important because we have 2 Death Touch blockers. I think the Oresco Swiftclaw is the worst threat here, so I think I just want to, yeah, block both of those with the rats. Yeah, just the Cathar, I guess. We're just going to block a Cathar with the rats, save a rats for a Pride Mate, and trade with the Swiftclaw. If not, we can just trade it with 2 spirits. I'm basically assuming he has nothing this game because our draw is a little bit weak. We kind of flooded. You know, given the hand we kept, it's kind of expected, but I really have to assume that he has nothing significant that can mess with our plans. Man, we are trying a lot of lands. Just going to play them out there because we have stuff like Covenant of Blood. Here, I think I just want to pass. The 1 damage from the Spirit isn't going to be super relevant, and if he has a removal spell, I want to leave up as many things as I can to block. So I'm just going to attack with nobody and pass. 1 damage is definitely significant, but it's not going to be... I think it's more important to hedge against stuff like Forge Devil. So yeah, he just passes, and we draw a Spectre Ward, which is kind of insane. I think we want to put it on a flyer, although if we put it on a Death Toucher, it can block a huge ground guy, but I still think it's more important to put it on a flyer. We're just going to take a very defensive stance here, because we have bombs that we can draw into, this being one of them. Okay, wait, I'm going to think about this a little bit more, actually. We do only have 10 minutes, actually. Yeah, I'm just going to put it on a flyer. I don't think I'm going to attack here. Well, I'll attack with 2 flyers, but I don't think I want to attack with the Spectral Ward guy just because it's only 3 damage, and having the really superb blocker is more important. Then we'll just pass. Yield. Actually, let's not yield. Just to bluff stuff. Guess Midnight Guard, that's fine. And you can't really attack. We're just clocking him for 2 right now, kind of in a stalemate. Sure, we'll play a Child of Night. Just gives us more ground blockers. Attack him for 2 again and pass. The importance of him not having many cards, that way he can't really develop his land drops and develop his board, has been really key this game. He's on 4 lands. We can cast whatever we draw, but he's really limited in terms of that. He also has more lands in his deck to draw, which is important. Rummaging Goblin, that's going to be pretty good for him. We might want to kill that if we draw a removal spell. He can't really attack with anything. Another land. I think we'll just keep this one in hand. Attack with both of our guys. Click through everything because we have 2 cards in hand. We should watch our clock a little bit. It's kind of important if we go to a game 3 here. Okay, so he's attacking with everything. What could this be? I'm not totally sure. We want to put the Typhoid Rats in front of the Pride Mate. The Spirit probably in front of... Okay. So we're just going to make as many good blocks as we can here. That way... if he has like a singular trick, he won't be able to really blow us out with it. He probably has Sanctified Charge here is what I'm guessing. And we don't want to take too much damage from it. Yeah, that's what I thought. So our Rats and our Child of Night are both going to die. We're not going to gain 2 life, and his Midnight Guard's still going to die. So we're just going to be left with the 3/3 Spirit on the blocks. We might want to now start leaving back our 2 Spirits. We do go to 8. So our life total is starting to become more of a concern again. Carrion Crow enters tapped. Yeah, so we just want to leave back 2 Spirits to block here. Important to note is that our protection from all colorless guy can't block his Pride Mate and kill it. I'm just going to yield. I'm just going to start to yield now because it's pretty obvious that we just have lands in hand. And I don't want to use more clock than I need to. 8 minutes should be fine for the next game, but, you know, this game, oh man, he has a Spectral Ward too. Jeez. Yeah, I think just to save time, we'll draw a card, but then we'll probably just concede after this. and go into the next game. His deck is pretty powerful. We could definitely lose this. There's a possibility we could try to race him here if we like drew something. I'm not sure. Let's just see what we can do. We have to block everything else and take down to 1. If we draw like a colorless creature, we can maybe try to race, something like that. Yeah, so we're just dead. I'm just going to concede to save time. Let's see if we can do anything out of the sideboard. Spectral Ward is insanely hard to deal with, so we might just have to accept that there's a possibility to lose to it. He was probably sitting on it for most of that game. Is there anything super relevant that we can bring in? Carrion Crow I think is better than Witch's Familiar just for racing the Spectral Ward, because he's probably going to put it on a ground guy. Oh, we can bring in Solemn Offering actually. That's very significant. He also has the other target there. Probably then cut the Carrion Crow. It's not great. I'll cut a Crippling Blight, I think. No, we've seen that be good against Spectral Ward in the past. Yeah, I guess I'll just cut a Carrion. I'm not sure. Not sure if that's correct. Let's see. Cut a Midnight Guard. We have enough stuff to deal with his 2/2s, and the Carrion Crows can try to race a Spectral Ward if we need to. So hopefully he doesn't come out with one of his insane starts with either Spectral Ward or Soulmender into Pridemate. This hand looks fine. We can definitely, be beaten by one of his good starts, but this is really the best we can do, and we'll just see if he can produce a great start to beat us. Hopefully he can't. Mala again. Mala again. I'm a lot more comfortable against his deck when he mulligans, just because, aggressive deck would be inconsistent, especially, decks like his, which have kind of some combos and bombs in them. Yeah, so he might have that start, and we might just be beaten here. We'll see. We can beat a Spectral Ward because we just drew a Solemn Offering, but we might just not be able to beat the Pridemate if it comes down next turn. No whammies. Beginning of combat, okay. Interesting if we want to trade here. I don't think we do, because it doesn't look like he has the Pridemate. He would definitely not be offering the trade if he did. But the thing is, if he draws the Pridemate, that's pretty bad. I think we'd still have to assume he's not going to draw the Pridemate in the future. This could be a genius attack if he did have the Pridemate. Or, I guess not, because he would have played it. But if say the Pridemate costs 3, he would get in a damage because we would just think he didn't have it. I don't know what I'm saying. That doesn't really make any sense, but I hope you can see what the bluff would be there. So yeah, we're just going to attack. I'm a little confused. Oh, he probably has raised the alarm. I think I want to leave my guy back then. Yeah, there's no reason he would attack with Soulmender unless he had raised the alarm. So I'm just going to yield. If he doesn't play Raise the Alarm, I'm confused, but we'll see. I bet he does. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so our Childhood Knight is a little awkward here. We probably just want to trade it for Soulmender if he gives us the chance again. Let's see if he does. Yeah, he does. I think we just want to trade it. We're going to be trading it for like a 1 toughness guy probably anyway. So I think we just want to trade it for Soulmender in case he has the in case he draws the Pridemate. Overall, take nothing here. Cathar is fine. It does mean that we can't really block with our Accursed Spirit next turn. Hopefully, Ob Nixilis is just going to clean up this game. We can block the Cathar, so really we're just going to be taking 2 next turn, which is fine by me. Then we'll probably be able to start racing him. He probably has the Spectral Ward, which is a good thing that we have the Offering, because he probably kept his kind of sketchy hand based on the fact that it had the Ward. And he can't attack now, which is good, because he played that pre-combat. Kind of a mistake by our opponent. So yeah, I think I want to play the Skirmisher here and attack. We don't have a target for the Solemn Offering. Even if we did, though, I would be tempted to just save it for the Spectre Ward. I think that would probably be the correct play, because we can beat most things except the Ward here with our Ob Nixilis. If he plays the Ward, I think we're just offering it now and then playing Ob Nixilis later, but it's possible we want to just take a hit. Okay, he doesn't have the Ward, it looks like. He has Divine Favor, which is very fine. We're going to be taking some hits from the Griffin. Yeah, he doesn't attack with his soldiers, which is kind of weird, because he could just sack the Cathar and get through our skirmisher. We're going to be taking some hits from the Griffin, because Ob Nixilis is going to be a 4-4, and we're not going to be able to block it with the threat from the Cathar. But, you know, we should be fine, and we should be able to establish a good board presence. Because it looks like he doesn't have the Ward, we might just Solemn Offering the Divine Favor in order to be able to block with Ob Nixilis at some point in the future. We'll see. Although, no, if he does sack the Cathar, it does grow Ob Nixilis, so he'd have to have like 2 tricks. We might just want to block. It's definitely a consideration. He might not see it either. Is this the Ward? Nope, just a Swift Claw. I hope he doesn't attack so that we don't have to think about it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Good. Good, good, good. Oppressive Raise. That doesn't do a whole lot here, although it does make it so that his Cathar can't really do much. Let's see. We can attack with our Intimidator and our Ob Nixilis, then play out some good blockers. That seems like a good plan. He can't double block or anything. Nothing that I'm missing here, I don't think. So yeah, let's attack with both. If he has a trick or something, that's his last card in hand, and I think I'm fine with that. If not, he's taking a lot of damage. Okay, he's blocking. Oh, right. Yeah, it's a 3-5. Okay, so we can second main Solemn Offering. That does kind of have us lose to Spectre Ward, but it's pretty clear he doesn't have it, unless he was just masterfully playing so that we would play into it. But our Intimidator might even be able to race it as is. So yeah, I think we want to Solemn Offering. Kills his Griffin. Gains us 4 life, we go back to 20. Ob Nixilis will grow. Play our Rats and have an Oppressive Raise up. For maybe a tempo play, if he taps out or something, we'll be able to make something not block for a turn. It's not very useful, you know, at this stage of the game, but that's the price you pay sometimes. Hopefully he didn't draw the Ward here. That would be problematic. But I think we could probably still race it, given that we have a 2 evasive guys that he can't really block right now, even if he did have it. Okay, looks like we're in a pretty commanding position here. Just going to attack with both my guys, leave my defenders back. Not literal defenders, but you get my drift. Looks like he has nothing. Very good. I'll play the Evolving Wilds, just in case. Thin our deck a little bit. He's at 5, so he really needs something right now. Ushering Griff, end of turn, that's okay. He needs to draw something now. Maybe he'll just scoop. It always makes me more comfortable when my opponents just scoop instead of making me attack them. You really want to, yeah, see, you really just want to make me attack you there. It's not very good because, you know, you really need to represent what tricks you could have. I might not attack, you know, something like that. It's just a lot scarier if, you know, you make me attack with both my guys and I have to think about what you could have. So no, yeah, you guys can click on the link for the 3rd round, and I'll see you guys in the finals. Alright guys, we're back for the finals. If you notice, I had to restart my Windows system. I'm running this on a Mac, but I had to restart my Windows. I had to restart my Windows system while we were gone, just because Magic Online tends to kind of run slower as it keeps working farther. So yeah, we're a little behind on time, but it should be fine. We're gonna keep this hand. It's pretty solid. We got Heliod's Pilgrim to tutor up our big bomb, so should all be good. And we have an early Typhoid Rats plus the Pilgrim should be able to convoke at our stuff that we want to. So this hand seems fine. He's probably blue. We haven't seen a blue player. Yeah, there we go. Second white should be good for playing our Spectral Ward. And yeah, we're just going to see how things progress, what his other color is. Basically our plan is just to stick the Spectral Ward and everything should be good. It's been our plan a lot of games. It's a pretty good plan, I must say. Let's play this. Don't think he's going to have a counter spell. I don't think there's one in this format that can do that. There's negate, but can't hit a creature, obviously. Yes, I do. I would like to tutor it my ROM. That seems very solid. Yep, we'll get the ward. Next turn we can convoke out a golem and then put the ward on it, stuff like that. Attacking him with the rats, of course, and then yielding. Free damage is free damage. He might be stuck on colors or maybe just mono blue. We didn't really see another blue player, so he could have gotten a lot of the blue cards. Frostlinks is going to prevent us from playing the golem, which is a little bit annoying, but it's better than a super big tempo play. Frostlinks. I guess this is a pretty big tempo play, but you get what I mean. Frostlinks can be really devastating at some points in the game where you're trying to race. So, I'm not too bummed with this one. It would have been better if we drew something to play there, but I think we're fine. I think we're just going to pass here, try to block with the rats if he attacks. Not going to yield totally because we have 4 mana up, so he could think we have stuff. I think we probably win a long game here, even though he is blue. We just have a lot of powerful cards. Yeah, he's blue-black, which is a pretty good long game deck, but we just have so many bomby cards that we should be pretty favored if the game goes long. We might want to keep our rats around just for convoking things, but I think it really should be fine. If he doesn't want us to slam the Spectral Ward, which he knows we have, he might just have to leave up mana here, which, yeah, will really set him off of tempo. And then we can just play out the Willforged Golem and have him counter that if he wants. He might have a removal spell instead of a counter, but if that's the case, the Golem's fine too. He'll just, he'll have to deal with it unless he wants to remove it. We could just slam the ward there, but it's pretty obvious that he left up something to try to deal with it, and we're going to make him try to deal with the Willforged Golem first. Let's attack with our rats here. It seems pretty free. Although actually, the rats might be a more valuable creature than the Frostlinks. I kind of have to think about that actually. Yeah, you know what? I think we're gonna wait on that, just because the rats can trade with a bigger guy at a later point. An Accursed Spirit or something like that. Quickling. It's pretty solid. That might be what he was leaving up instead of an answer. But I'm guessing he also has an answer to the Spectral Ward, otherwise he would just be dead to it. And if he doesn't have an answer, we're going to find a way to win with the ward, either way. So it's best to play around an answer, if we can afford it. Yep, Frostlinks is going to tap down our 4/4 most likely. And he's probably going to try to tempo us out here. We could go for Covenant of Blood, or with just 2 mana we could also go for the ward. We can't put it on our 4/4, which is a little bit disappointing. So we might want to wait. He didn't attack. That is also interesting. There's not room here. So the question is, what stuff can he have? He probably has Peel from Reality, actually. So yeah, I think we don't want to go for the ward. The question is, do we want to try Covenant of Blood? Not if he has Peel from Reality, I don't think. Everything is a sorcery. I don't really like not playing anything this turn, though. But I think it's best to just wait and pass. He's representing Peel from Reality pretty hard here. I generally don't like just not playing anything when we have plays on our turn, but I think if we just make him tap out of Peel from Reality, we'll be able to really make some devastating plays. If he doesn't tap out from it this turn, I think we have to just go for the Covenant, though. You know, what we could have done last turn is Covenanted the Quickling. That was probably correct, because it makes him peel the Quickling if he wants to make it survive. Oops, he'll attack us with that, that's fine. We're really just waiting for him to tap out so that we can slam the Spectral Ward. We're not under huge pressure on our left roll, but you know, it is important to consider. The big question is what he plays this turn. Stab wound on our guy. Okay, so we can start attacking with it. It's not too bad. You know, he'll really have to take it. If we slam Spectre Ward on it and he tries to kill it, that's not great for him either because it loses his stab wound. I think that might be our line here. He wouldn't have played stab wound if... Yeah, I think we want to try to race him here. So that involves just getting aggressive even though we have a stab wounded guy. Yeah, so he's gonna go... I'm not sure what happens here. Let's see. Okay, so it dies, and then the ward dies. Okay, that's fine. He two-phoned himself there. Well, he 2-for-2 with us there, which is fine. And then we're just gonna attack him. We have a Covenant, which will be very good. I'm really not playing optimally here. I'm kind of tired. If you can see the clock, it's 11:30. I'm trying to be quiet so that everybody in the house can sleep. I hope I am being quiet enough. And second name, we'll play a Child of Night. We do have enough life gain here that I'm not too concerned about getting raced, but he does have 3 cards, so that could be problematic. It's tough to play around all the stuff that blue-black can have, but we'll see how well we can do it. So I think I want to... no, I don't think I want to block here, actually, because our Child of Night can do 2 damage and prevent 2 damage, and we have 2 removal spells in our hand for anything that he's going to play here. So our Child of Night is very likely to be able to attack next turn. Let's see what he plays. Wall of Frost. Okay, so we can Crippling Blight that, and that'll definitely take care of it, which is good. Carrion Crow. So yeah, he's getting pretty aggressive, thinking that his Wall of Frost is going to stop the ground attacks, but we have a plan for that. I don't think we want a Covenant of Blood this turn, just play out our child. He's got 2 cards in hand, so that's really the concern here, is that he's going to have answers for us when we've kind of run out of answers here. But we'll see how this goes. We're going to be getting a lot of life, which is good, as I said before. So yeah, he's attacking us for 6 this turn, most likely. We're probably not going to want to block with the Child of Night again. And then 4 in the air for most of the time. Okay, yeah, so he's not even giving us the option. That's fine. Our Covenant of Blood is likely going to be saved for whatever he plays after this. Yeah, so he's leaving the Frostlinks back. We might just want to Covenant that if he doesn't play anything. We'll really see what he plays and then decide what we want to Covenant. If he plays something big, we might just need to Covenant one of the Flyers to kind of stay alive. And he's not playing anything. We drew a Triplicate Spirit, so that's very good too. I think we probably want to attack with our Child and our Rats here, leaving back the 1-2 just for chump blocks, if need be. He's probably going to block the Child. Yep. And then we'll play out our Triplicate. We're ahead in the race too, which is good. Leaving up Ulcerate. It's better than leaving up a single white, I believe. There is Ephemeral Shields, as I think we mentioned in a previous game, but I think Ulcerate's more important to bluff. Yep, he's going to go to combat. Yeah, no attacks. Seems wise from him. Okay, so we can play Rats here, and then convoke out our Covenant. That seems pretty good. We can't really attack with our Flyers, though. We might just want to sit back and kind of answer his stuff. So I think I just want to attack with one of our Rats here. And then see what he's got going on in terms of whether we want to Covenant or not. Because if we just Covenant one of the Flyers, then we still can't attack with our other 3 Spirits. But if he blocks with one of the Flyers, yeah, then next turn we can Covenant pretty effectively. This is, of course, assuming he doesn't play anything, and he does have 3 cards in hand, so we'll be able to react to whatever he does. But we might not have the luxury of just, going with our play that says Covenant the 2/2 Flyer and attack with everything. He's probably going to play something relevant here. Caustic Tar, okay. So we need to get a move on, is what that's saying, and I think we can with our Covenant, gaining us some life and then attacking with everything. That was a play that lined up pretty well for us, fortunately. We get to Covenant this thing, gain some life, and start winning the race. Keep this Swamp in our hand for bluffing. Attacking him for 3, 4, 5. He's going to go to 4, and hopefully he's dead next turn. We're at 16, so we're pretty safe from the Caustic Tar. Although if he can stabilize, then the Caustic Tar is going to finish us off pretty quickly, so we really need to be aggressive. There's another Wall of Frost. Okay, so he's still technically dead. Yeah, there we go. The Typhoid Rats means he's alive for one more turn. And one more turn with the Wall of Frost gives him some value, but yeah, we drew another Triplicate, so he doesn't have a Counterspell mana, which is good. I mean, he could have Negate, but still. So yeah, we're just going to attack him with everything. And say, please answer this or you're dead next turn. Hopefully he doesn't play a Fester Gloom or something of that nature. Draw 2, okay, so he's digging closer to the Fester Gloom, but he might just concede right now. We do have some outs if he does Fester Gloom. Another Divination, okay, but he only has 2 mana now. I don't know if he's played a land this turn. Yeah, he played a Swamp actually right over here, so we should have this one. Yep, there we go. Okay, so he's pretty controlling. He's got a Caustic Tar to finish us off, double Wall of Frost, so our Crippling Blights are going to be pretty good. As we saw that game. We can probably cut something like a Midnight Guard, bring in a Mind Rot, is probably pretty good. Didn't see anything to Solemn Offering, I don't remember. So yeah, stuff that's good against aggro we can take out, which I guess he can be pretty aggressive, he can race, but stuff like Midnight Guard isn't going to be super great. Typhoid Rats is good because it can attack through the Wall of Frost. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. We could unmake the Graves, but we really don't have creatures that are very important. It's really our non-creature spells that are really big bombs. So we would really just be getting back 2/2, so I don't think that's super good, even though it is a good card advantage engine against a control deck. This is a keep, especially on the draw. We have our Heliod's Pilgrim, which basically translates to our Spectre Ward, and we have some creatures to play even if we don't draw lands. I mean, I hope we do draw lands, but still, we have a decent game plan. If we don't, we can be pretty aggressive. Evolving Wilds is a little bit awkward, but we should find a spot to slot it in. This is where we are a little bit punished for running Evolving Wilds in a 2-color deck, but you know, I'm willing to take that risk to have a slightly more consistent mana. And there's our ward, so the Pilgrim can't search up that anymore. I think we still have, yeah, we still have Crippling Blights in our deck, and those should be good in this situation too. So that'll be fine to search up. Wilds plus Skirmisher. And we're beating down pretty hard here, so hopefully he doesn't have much to answer that. Might have a Wall of Frost here. That's what my gut's telling me. Or a Frost Lynx, something frosty. Yep. That's fine. We're going to be able to answer that with our Crippling Blight. I would like some lands here. We're going to go get a white source, because we have the double white spell. You know, we could want to like play Crippling Blight and a black spell in the same turn or something, but you know, that's not super relevant. I'm going to pump the rats here, because he doesn't want to block the rats. And I don't think we attack with the Skirmisher, because it's basically a free block for him. He's not going to block the rats. It could get in 2 damage if he wants to block the rats, but I really don't see why he would. Yeah. Okay, so our plan's pretty clear this game. We're just going to try to beat down. Let's see if he has some good answers for us. And hopefully, if we can get him down to a low enough life total, Spectre Ward can clean it up once we've drawn some lands. If we draw a land next turn, we can go Heliod's Pilgrim into Crippling Blight, and that should be a pretty devastating play. No land, but Triplicate Spirits I think is good to convoke out. Put some pressure on him. He's got 6 cards in hand, so you know he's probably going to have some answers for us, but I think our hand is pretty well set up and pretty hard to answer, given that we have the Spectre Ward, and he's going to have to do something proactive, or at least proactively reactive, to kind of stop our attacks, and then we can slam the ward, and hopefully that'll be something that he can answer. It's a very hard card to answer. Playing Triplicate Spirits on 3 lands seems to be a theme of this deck. Turning that to Frog, I'm wondering what he's up to here. It seems a little bit weird. Fester Gloom. Oh, okay, so now that it's blue, it's going to die. That's fine. That was one of the better answers he could have to our stuff. He probably boarded it in. But that said, you know, not too bummed. We still have a lot of pressure here. We're going to attack with both, just getting 2 damage, even though we won't be able to next turn. It's still worth it. We're kind of a slow, methodical beatdown plan here, where we're just presenting stuff that he can't answer, and he's not really pressuring us in any significant way, so we can really afford to do that this game, and really in this matchup. He does have 6 lands, so you know he can be doing some pretty powerful stuff here, but I'm pretty confident that we're going to get there. You know, it could definitely go wrong, but it looks to be lining up pretty well, especially if we start drawing some lands. There's a land. I think we want to go Pilgrim and Crippling Blight here. Crippling Blight is just so good against Wall of Frost. Really against any wall. We just keep attacking with some tough to answer guys every turn. Hopefully that'll get there. He could kind of try to race us with the Cursed Spirit. That's a possibility, but he's really at some low life here. So I don't think it should be a big issue. Yeah, he's just going to trade that off, hoping to kind of soak up some damage. That's fine. And he really needs to make some big play here, some big bomb. And hopefully if we draw land, we can kind of answer that bomb with our Spectral Ward. Infinite Path Mage is totally fine. Not intimidated by that in the slightest. Okay, so we got a Child of Night. I think our plan is just a Cursed Spirit because now it can't be blocked. But first we're just going to attack. Just with those, we don't want to give him the chance to eat our guy. No need to. Again, our cards are just hard to answer. Now we even have more cards in hand than him just because he's been playing lands. Really the only way he could clean up this game is by playing some big bomb that costs a lot of mana. We should watch out for Aether Spout, actually. That's an important thing to know. That can hit a guy with Spectral Ward on it. So I might just want to attack with a couple guys each turn and kind of hold back a little bit. Because he's at 8, we can really afford to do that. Just, you know, attacking with 2 guys or something every turn should be fine. This is probably a Covenant of Blood, I'm guessing. Yeah, that's what I thought. So that gains him back some life. That's pretty good. But, you know, we should be able to answer that. If we draw a land, Spectral Ward puts him on a 3-turn clock that's very tough to answer. We drew a Crippling Blight. Yeah, that seems fine. Just getting more damage. Play Carrion Crow. We're attacking for 5 here. He goes to 7. The math starts to get important when you get to these low life totals. The actual clock. And theoretically he's dead next turn. He has to do something, so that's, you know, worth something to be able to say. Murklicker is pretty good. Gives him some life. But it can only give him 2 life, so if he taps out for that... No, you know what, because he could still block with the Murklicker, so yeah, that isn't relevant. We're probably looking at a 2-turn kill here. I'm being kind of optimistic, but you know, we are in a very good position. Let's see what he plays here. Could be big. Nope, nothing. He probably has some tricks. Let's see what those are. I'll probably have to cast them now, which is good. Oh, he just discarded. Okay. Stab Wound, that's always a solid thing to hit. And in Garrick's Wake. Wow. Okay, so luckily we drew that Mind Rot. That was insane. Did not think... Was not really playing around that card at all, but now we should be able to get him. He would need to attack with both of his guys in order to lifelink for 4, and in that case we can attack him back. So yeah, we basically have this. He's going to go to 5, but then we can just attack him with everything, and he's still dead. No, he can lifelink actually. So we need to draw a Spectral Ward here, draw a land for Spectral Ward. But you know, if not, he's still dead in 2 turns. Nope, no land, so let's just attack him for 4, put him dead next turn. I don't see any reason to not play out my Childs of Night now that we've seen the Garrick's Wake. If he has 2, then, you know, more power to him, but, you know, we might even be able to afford to play around 2 in Garrick's Wakes, so yeah, I think we just play 1 Child of Night and then pass. In that case, we have a backup plan that says play Child of Night, put Spectral Ward on it, and go to town. Hopefully he just concedes here. Yeah, there we go. So that was a pretty successful 8-4. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, we'll establish kind of more ground rules for this series as it goes on. But hopefully you guys enjoy watching me play these 8-4s, and yeah, see you guys next time. Bye.